Hello, everybody. It's America's most slept on podcast, Chubby Behemoth.
Recently ousted from a tournament in the first round.
Yeah, we lost to the Bonfire in the Tournament of Podcasts.
A podcast that no longer exists.
And also is not as good. I was about to say very bad, ever since Dan Soder walked away. It was just nice to be included, honestly. And then people defended us. That felt good.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chubby Chasers.
We were invited to the table, and I appreciate that. We are here in an undisclosed location in the Arizona desert.
An air bed and breakfast is the most information you're going to get out of us.
The air was good. The beds were fine. The breakfast, not that great.
Just bananas.
A lot of bananas. There was a gentleman staying here who ate an entire gallon of yogurt right away upon waking up, and that upset us. But I just want to say real quick, I used to have a podcast, Lund.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Shinin'.
People liked it.
People loved it. They were freaks. And Shinin' ended, and we will not be releasing those tapes anytime soon because David and I both have budding careers in show business. But one of our favorite, beloved guests on that show was an old childhood friend of mine, a bit of a drifter, a bit of a cad. He's been all over, upside down, torn out the frame and put back in. My old buddy, Nick Salazar.
How you guys doing?
Good, man. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready to take the Chubby Behemoth challenge? You have to fuck a pig, shit in a bowl, make the pig eat the shit in under 2 minutes.
I mean, I'm from Elizabeth, Colorado, and so we call that breakfast, my friend.
Emmy listened to the episode accidentally. She listened to the Sophie episode, and then it kept going. And the next episode was the one where one of us, I don't want to say, might have abused himself into a sink at the Spurs arena.
Where Wembanyama washes his little face.
That's right. And she was like, "Is this what you do on the pod? You just talk about jerking off into sinks? This is disgusting." And I was like, "Well, as we always say, turn it off, bitch."
Why were you listening in the first place?
What is the matter with you?
It's not for you.
Yeah, you knew what this was the whole time, baby.
It's for guys who jack in their trucks.
I actually had a dream about a former classmate of ours, and it motivated me to commit the sin of Onan. I don't want to give it away. I'll try and blind item it to you. Her name started with an A, and her last name was a direction. Don't say the name if you do the math. In our grade.
Our grade.
Okay,
yeah, I know who it is. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had frog crushers.
Last name, if you're from Denver, is the mountain.
Easy. All right. Okay. Trying to do it as a blind item. Yes. But yeah, Salazar's here. Also, we're joined to the left by Spencer DeMulkey, the pride of Cincinnati, who Cincinnati comics are they're bullies, they're tyrants, and he was nervous about ordering a sandwich without tomatoes because we were going to make fun of him. So glad to have you.
But
here,
we
Spencer.
didn't. We supported him. I get it.
Not everyone loves Deadly Nightshade. It's not a big deal. But you're over there in that midget rodeo that you guys run. You know, you're just whipping each other. It's tough. But Salazar, we're glad to have you on the pod. You've come a long way. I've known you since you were a wee boy. My father liked you.
I love your father.
Dave T, big fan of you.
You're both. He's still alive. You're still alive. So I feel like those feelings are still valid. You're like, he always liked you before he passed away. No, he's still around.
He's still thriving.
He liked you when you all lived in Elizabeth. That's what you're saying. A lot of good
But he
hangs.
loved Sally.
Yeah.
I love Sally. We had several good hangs when you were still in Colorado.
I feel like it's not just Colorado. I'm a gypsy, as Sam was saying, and
I would never say that. I would say zygonist.
And you guys have been on the road for your 10 years or something, so I feel like we just meet each other in random places in random cities.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the best part, I think, about our hangs.
We're a lot like bull riders in that way.
It's something that I know very much about as well.
We're very similar to bull riders, and then we're out there chasing this crazy dream despite it, abbreviating our lives due to all the travel and physical violence. Ours is more brain trauma.
Who did we hang out with that you
Clay Rader.
grew up with?
Brad Lewis.
No, we hung out with Clay Rader in
Oklahoma City.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we did a show on a comic book, and Clay and his mom, Joanna,
yeah.
I think it's Jonna. I think it's
Jonna.
the man. Yeah.
Oh.
Jonna came, and Clay and his friends, his bull rider friends, just hung out, and we drank 1,000,000 3-2 beers, and we just talked about how our lives are like very similar to rodeo dudes.
Because you're always on the road, yeah.
Always on the road.
The travel
for the Buckle Bunnies.
The fraternity. Yes, the
Chuckle fuckers
in the comedy world. Yeah, what'd you call them?
Buckle Bunnies.
Buckle bunnies. Yeah,
I'd love to make it 8 seconds. If you know what I mean.
I want to be the rodeo clown in the corner.
Yeah, you want to be in the barrel. This way, this way.
Kill me, not the star.
That's their whole job.
I know.
It's crazy.
Kill me instead.
We had a friend whose older brother was a rodeo clown, bullfighter.
He was good too.
He was really good, and then he made a decision, and it was in the moment it made sense, and we lost him.
Yeah, sad day. I was in a bad kids camp when that happened, so I didn't get to attend any of the services or any of that stuff. So
yeah, I went, dude. It was at the Kiowa Fairgrounds.
Really?
Yeah, and we got there, and they had a big what's the bagpipe guy? Yeah, because they were into that kind of shit. And my grandpa goes up to Jeff and like holds him, and I see my grandpa's crying, and Jeff is crying. And then my dad goes up, he's crying too, gives him a big hug, and then I walk up to Jeff and I go, "How you doing, Jeff?"
Yeah,
I know your son died. Yeah, that was sad.
Why didn't you hug him?
I don't know. He was a man, you know. I didn't know what to do. I was a little boy.
Gotcha.
And one of my best friend's older brothers just passed away, and I was like, my grandpa was crying. There was a bagpipe guy on the horizon. There was no room in my brain to wire it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I can't imagine hugging.
I can.
Becker.
I've hugged that guy.
Edit out the last name. I know you did. I know you did because he was there for you. You were. I mean, you had quite the early situation, and you rose out of it.
Well, I put myself back into it a few times too.
Yeah,
So,
you've told us a lot of stories today, just offhandedly, about you crashing into Long John Silver's and eating too much Molly to quit giving away pizzas at music festivals.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I've lived a very full life.
Yeah, yeah. It's just nice to see you.
Yeah, man, it's nice to be doing well. It's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being
A little
'cause
stability.
I'm still a heathen at heart. You know what I mean? And
Oh yeah, you're a war pig,
The
man.
wild side.
You're a fucking pirate, dude.
Yeah.
I can burn it all down right now. Start over. Go east.
Yeah, you just have a bunch of passports in a gun safe, different names.
You guys are reading my mind.
Yeah, that's funny how so many people. Like, I am grateful for my ability to embrace or enjoy boredom because it's stability. But there is some part of a lot of people's brains where it feels like you're fucking up when things are going well. Because if it's steady, it can be boring. It can feel like you could be getting more excitement if you switched it up, you know? And some people do that constantly. And so I hope that you are able to enjoy, like, slowing down.
I try to, man, but honestly, like, I live in the chaos. And so I just, like, even when we're doing well, I'm pushing us on the point of doing well. Like, I'm in the craziest situations all the time, like as a business owner or whatever it is. Like, I'm in the jungles with my 3-year-old and there's an AT&T terror attack and we have no service and have no idea where the fuck we are.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, whatever.
And your name is Nick, and your son's name is
Nixon.
Your son is named Nick's son,
Nick's
which
son,
really
yeah.
tickles me whenever I think about it. I told my dad, and he went, "No fucking way."
It's so funny because so many people don't pick up on that, and you heard it. And
I think they're giving you the benefit of the doubt that you're not such a psychopath that you would name your son Nick's son, just in case he forgot.
Is it with an X?
Yeah, it's with an X.
Yeah.
My wife wouldn't let me do the SON.
Yeah,
There's no way.
Thank God for her.
An apostrophe?
Yeah, she keeps me in check.
Mm-hmm. And also, you guys did a great job in the green room last night because I wanted to kill most of the people who came in there.
Yeah, there were some odd ones in there.
It was tough, man. It was tough. I mean, I like the dudes, but it's just like after 2 shows, it's been a bit of a weekend. All right, we're sharing a room the first night with Pat Richardson, my beloved. He's my Nick's son. His name should be Pat, Sam's son, because I make sure I flip him over on his belly, I change his diaper, keep the rashes away. But we
help him with his
put
shapes.
the CPAP on him.
his shapes. He's tough with the shapes, man.
Make sure you put a CPAP on him.
Dude, I would. If there's anyone out there who has an old CPAP because your husband died, please, P.O. Box 1466, Elizabeth, Colorado. I'll pay for shipping because this guy needs to be saved.
He doesn't snore. He wanted me to make sure that you didn't talk about him snoring because it's not true.
Yeah, well, it isn't snoring. It's the death rattle of a demigod fallen from Valhalla. It's really bad, dude. I know he hates me talking about it, but I don't.
See, I'm the snorer in my family, so I don't get woken up by snorers ever because it's usually me who's snoring.
There's no way that you snore as loud as allegedly Pat Richardson does.
No, I definitely do.
Because he has this cavernous tum-tum that it reverberates like a timpani drum. And then I wake up screaming, Pat, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, Pat. Pat, pillow. Angle, Pat. Angle. And it's not fair to him because
He's coaching him.
I am. In his sleep even. I'm trying to impart wisdom. But I did not sleep like at all that night. And then I had to wake up at 7:30 to go to radio. But
Your favorite.
I used all your talking points that you've taught me about Chevelle, and I fit in.
9 albums.
I code switch 9 albums, big guitars. What's not to like?
Did you talk about them being brothers? They're all brothers.
Chevelle?
Yeah.
Wait, you know
Yeah.
about Chevelle?
So check this. When I was in the 7th grade, Mark Toll took me and Zach Toll to a concert to see the guys who Filter. Yeah. Right? And the very first...
Mark told my lawyer, was like, boys, we're going to see Filter.
Hey, man, nice shot.
You don't have to tell him.
Yeah, and so...
Hell yeah.
He took us there, and the very first band that played, everybody moved to the back of the room at the Ogden Theater because it was so loud.
Yeah.
And their equipment was turned way up, and the lead singer is the youngest brother, and he screamed, I just dropped out of high school. You all should fucking do it. Follow your fucking dreams. And Mark Toll looked at us and said, don't fucking do that.
That was
Don't listen to
Chevelle.
Chevelle.
That's funny.
And lo and behold, I dropped out of high school.
He went the Chevelle route.
Yeah, he listened.
Yeah, I listened. I took their advice.
I wonder, so that was like early 2000s?
Yeah, 90s.
Late 90s?
Late 90s.
Yeah, they were real new then.
Yeah.
That's
It was
cool.
like one of their first tours.
I love that Ogden Theater. I saw the Used, their first show on the road in the Ogden, opening up for Real Big Fish. And that guy Bart did the thing where he threw up to start the first song.
Sick.
The lead singer, he like threw up all over the stage, and then
Bert.
McCracken.
Yeah, the Used, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, this band rules. And they kind of buried Goldfinger. As impossible as that sounds, dear listener, the Used better than Goldfinger.
They went hard. Yeah, the Used went hard. I never saw him, but Bert would climb stuff and cut himself. I think he was pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
Ex-Mormon, I think. So he had some shit to work
and also
through.
kind of like they were Screamo before anyone else was Screamo.
Oh, man, that was my shit, dude. Punk rock and Screamo.
Did you like Blood Brothers?
Not as much as you.
I loved Blood Brothers, dude.
Not as much as you. I used to, if you guys don't know this, Sam is an excellent drummer, and I used to just make Sam play the drums for me. I would just sit and listen like a 3-year-old kid astounded at his daddy or something.
Well, yeah, man, you would like drift in and out of our lives, you know? Like you were around, we played football together on my dad's team.
We were number one, guys.
Yeah, fucking Kodiaks, undefeated for 3 years in a row. Except for that Elbert debacle.
Wow.
I don't want to talk. That was some home cooking. Remember when Jordan Berry got in trouble?
Yeah, I do. When was Jordan Berry not getting in trouble, though?
Remember on the football field?
Yeah.
Dude, there was one black kid who played in the entire Optimus League football. And he had a very awkward stance, which was like crouched with like one hand, but like kind of like a catcher on the defensive line, not the forward. And Jordan Berry said, that guy's, he looks like a monkey out there.
Oh, I thought you weren't going to drop the animal.
Well, and the referee's like, what the fuck? Get out of here. And they didn't want to.
You're lucky the green team's not here.
Oh, yeah, the green team.
You remember the coach?
Of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jordan Berry. But yeah, you would like be around, and then you'd be gone, and then you'd be back, and then you'd be around because you were being sent away to fucking Outward Bound camps.
Yeah, it was called The Last Resort.
Last Resort.
Yeah.
Papa Roach summer camp.
Yeah, no, I wish, dude. I fucking wish. It was actually, I was actually the only kid to ever be in this camp who didn't have a court order.
Yeah.
I was single-handedly.
And why was that?
Because I moved in with a really old woman who was career military, and she wanted me to call her Major Cartwright or Mom after my mom had passed, and I refused to. So,
right,
rightfully so.
So I ended up in a bad kids camp over it with a bunch of people who tried to kill their mothers or got caught selling crack.
That's where you draw the line.
Got caught selling crack at school or some dumb shit, right? And so I fucking was like top of the camp, right? And so I was the Eagle Scout of the last resort.
Well, there's that documentary on Netflix about that camp. Yeah. And I watched it, and the whole time I was like, wait, was this the one Sally went to? And I was like pausing it to see if you were in the background, but that wasn't the one.
No, it's crazy, though. I actually had a friend visit me, Zach Toll, came and saw me at his mom drove him all the way up there.
Zach Toll, who directed both my comedy specials.
Yeah, your lawyer's son.
That's right.
Came up and saw me at the Bad Kids camp, and it was cool. I came back from that a lot angrier. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you weren't angry before that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know what?
You were furious.
I was furious, but you know what? Spending all this time with these kids who were trying me, and then you realized all these kids who you thought were tough aren't tough.
Right, yeah.
Then I came back with this mentality like, I'm going to fucking dominate Elizabeth, Colorado.
Yeah. That same experience you had.
Wait till they get a load of me.
Do I know how I got these scars?
Damn, yeah.
Yeah, and you always had like money, so you would like buy hilarious Hollister outfits and have like a bandana flag coming out of one of your pockets.
I mean, I was selling weed early, dude, and I had got a job at 13 washing dishes and golf carts, and I sold weed on the side. So I always had some money. I got like $500 Social Security from my mom's death, and that was like it. And I would use that to pay for a room once I ran away. But yeah. In the clothes I was always stealing, The clothes were I was stealing the clothes for sure.
You were a little Latino American Eagle model in Elizabeth Middle School. And you had the fucking hair and everything.
That's why I'm so whitewashed. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up believing I was white because of Elizabeth, Elbert County.
Yeah.
It'll fuck you up.
Isn't it Nicholas Alejandro Salazar?
Yeah, how could I believe that?
Nas. Nas, dude.
He was the greatest rapper alive.
Pretty cool.
In white jeans and flip-flops.
Did you have a car real early?
I got one at 18. I bought one when I was 18. I couldn't get a license until I was 18 because I was like out on my own.
And you would often drive us around.
Yeah, I mean, I used to drive other people's cars without a license all the time. I drove to California when I was 15 without a license.
That's insane. Were you trying to find Dan Lancaster?
I went to go see Reed Hollinsby.
Oh, cool. You remember when they found Dan Land? He was
on the beach.
Tore
out the whole ceiling of his car.
And his car was just like you couldn't. It was like grains of sand, like 4 inches deep of cigarette butts.
It was so weird because, like, in a night, a switch flipped.
It was weed.
That switch just flipped in him, and he could have a normal conversation to where he would be the only thing he could ask you for was 50 cents for a donut, 35 cents or whatever they were.
And he was an all-state like athlete.
Yeah.
Basketball, great family.
Yeah.
And then that weed broke his brain, and he went from like being like, I
don't know if it was the weed, man. Don't put it on the weed.
No, the weed unlocked his latent schizophrenia is what Katie told me.
There's nothing wrong with weed, guys. It's for you.
But I think I have heard about that. It can accelerate or bring on something that maybe would have happened later.
Right.
Because I think most people with schizophrenia maybe experience it in their 20s, but you can have it happen sooner if you mess around with drugs.
It brought out the opposite in me, man. Yeah. I started smoking in the 6th grade. Night of the Notables was my first night. Sam,
really?
Tell them what Night of the Notables was. I'm sure everyone had a school experience where they did this.
No.
Well, not the weed part, but they had they did the costume.
Do you remember who I was for Night of the Notables?
I remember JR because he won. He was like King Louis or something.
He won Best Costume.
Yeah.
I won Best Speech. And I know that because I traded with Jordan Berry. I had Charlie Chaplin. Night of the Notables was this thing where you were assigned like a famous person in history, and then you had to do a presentation as that person in full costume, write a speech about their life.
Yeah, we did the whole quarter, every subject about your character.
Right, and I had Charlie Chaplin initially, but Jordan Berry wanted it, and Jordan was like, will you trade with me? and Jordan Berry had Bill Cosby. So I was Cosby for Night of the Nose.
The Jello thing, Joe Dacko.
Joe Dacko?
I remember.
We talked about that, I think, at some point.
So, yeah. But there was a big debate whether or not I should do blackface or not in the kitchen of my parental home. My dad was like holding shoe polish. My mom was like, absolutely not. My dad was like, come on, we want him to win. He's put so much work into it. You got high that night?
Yeah, that was the first night I ever got high.
With who?
Jordan Berry.
Yeah, of course. That's the first person I got high with, too.
Yeah.
Jordan and Reed in that car in that was parked in front of the house.
Yeah.
The Jimmy or it was some kind of SUV that they had.
I just remember the truck that his dad drove, and he drove everyone to the mountains and got in trouble. Nobody's kids were allowed to go over there anymore after he drove 200 miles with everyone's kids in the back of the truck to the top of the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah, I remember Chris Berry would come out and be like, Reed, I know what you guys are doing in the truck. I know what you're doing. It's not all a stone joke. And Reed would be like, shut the fuck up, you old bitch. I was like in sixth grade. Like, you can't talk to your dad that way.
I love Reed Berry. He has the whitest teeth I have ever seen in my entire
huge
life.
Teeth.
They're white, though, dude. Like, it's amazing.
Bonzo walked in on Reed banging his then girlfriend.
That's right.
And Bonzo's response was, brutal!
Yeah. That's when you guys all incorporated brutal into the lexicon, I'm sure. That's so perfect.
My gosh.
Brutal!
Oh, man. What a nice guy, dude.
I forgot about Bonzo trying to hump Matt Kobos until you mentioned it a few days ago. That was at your house in Fort Collins after a big party.
Yeah.
That was
Pat has a podcast with this kid, Matt Kobos.
Yeah.
And Kobos was asleep in a chair, and somehow Bonzo had been asleep in a different part of the house, but he woke up to Bonzo, like, on him, like, humping him aggressively. And he was like, whoa, Bonzo, it's me, Kobos. And Bonzo was like, shut up. Like he was like,
sleepwalking
he was
or
sleep humping, yeah.
sleep humping.
Whoa.
He's horny
And
in
that
his
wasn't
sleep.
in high school. That was like last year.
It was a
Matt
couple
woke
years
up, all his
ago.
clothes were in the oven.
Make yourself at home.
Yeah, definitely move some more chairs around.
Yeah, the Berry Boys. They're okay now. London's always like, he can't fathom Elizabeth because of all the people that have passed away. You know?
Is it the passed away or the stories? Because, like, I constantly am being told, like, that's not real. And I'm like, you want me to call 6 people right now
want
who
me to
were there
corroborate this?
to tell you? And they'll tell you the story from their point of view, and it will be exactly like this.
Right.
Like,
It was all of it, yeah. Just the number of crazy stories, characters, how many of them died young and how, because it wasn't all just like OD or suicide.
the amount of teenage drug abuse.
Just crazy shit, like small town stuff, but not every small town has that amount of like tragedy or crazy shit going on. So it was just a lot.
there's mushrooms in other people's high school.
It was a lot,
But, like,
yeah.
the things that happen to Elbert County kids when they're on mushrooms compared to the Denver East kids are completely different. You know what I mean?
Well, you had that, like, in high school, you had a house in, like, Elbert or something.
Yeah.
You would just throw parties.
That's what I was thinking of. You didn't have a car. You had a place.
Yeah.
A party house
So,
for
like,
a little bit.
My mom passed when I was like 8, and I went.
Do you
to,
ever discuss that?
Yeah, all the time. I mean, I talk about it every day of my life.
I don't want to bring up anything bad.
No. It's like, it's actually all out. So my stepdad killed my mom when I was an 8-year-old, and my real dad wasn't in play because my stepdad was a cop.
Yeah.
And my mom was on the run from my drug dealer father, who has like 30 kids, right?
Whoa.
And he found us in this small town. We were held up in this house.
Is it Kiowa?
Kiowa. And the task force saved us. And one of the responding officers ended up asking my mom, in her moment of weakness, with all the shit she's got going on a date. And she went with him.
Yikes.
And she had he was way old. That was the weird part. He had already had a family. 2 of his daughters were on the police force with him. And he had like a son. His other daughter, he had 4 kids already. And his other daughter was married to the county coroner's parents. And he had another baby with my mom, and it was like 1 year old when she died. And like, I went into foster care. All the kids got separated that were my mom's, except for me and one for a little bit. I ran away from the foster place when I was like 15. And then when I was like 17, I met this guy in a Quick Lube, and I used to sell weed to all my friends at the Quick Lube.
Was this like a massage parlor?
No, the Quick Lube was like the Jiffy Lube. The Jiffy Lube. It's like
I'm trying to bring a little levity to this.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I was getting jerked off with this dude.
Yeah, so like I meet this dude, and he says something about he thinks that his dad killed his second wife, and I realized he was my stepbrother, right? And so I start hanging around the Quick Lube, and this guy, we'd get him high, trying to get him information. He would just cry all the time about his wife that was leaving him, and not talk about any of that shit. And he ended up hanging himself.
Ooh,
jeez, man.
His funeral was on my...
His name was Mr. Cooper, which was ironic.
His funeral was on my 18th birthday, and I had been looking for my little brother for 10 years, you know? And so on my 18th birthday, I went to this dude's funeral and found my little brother at the funeral. Damn. And yeah, it was crazy. And then...
Didn't your stepdad get away with it too because he was a cop?
Yeah, so like all his daughters all handled the evidence, and all the evidence was inadmissible by court. You know what I mean? The other daughter was married to the county coroner's son, so he got her to sign off fraudulently on some insurance paperwork and took all the funds and took my little brother and dipped. Yeah. My little brother, he got married a third time after my mom, and that wife left in the middle of the night. And my little brother thought, until he had met me, that was his real mom that just walked out in the middle of the night. And he said, "Hey, I never told you this, but your real mother died. You have 3 other brothers. I know this is a weird day and you just lost Gary, but here is your brother. I want to introduce you." Because I ran into the stepdad at the funeral, and he was like, "I know why you're here." He's like, "Do you want me to take you to see him?" And I was like, "Yes." He's like, "Just don't cause a scene or anything." And so for the next 7 years, I had to call that guy's phone to talk to my little brother, because he was only 11 years old at the time.
Yeah.
So he was 18. So I spent 7 years calling the guy that was accused of killing my mother, to talk to my little brother.
Not optimal.
Yeah. And so like, I was kind of weird about sharing the story around that time when I had reconnected with my brother. Yeah. Because I didn't want him to find out any of the information.
Bro, I didn't know about it. And then remember when you fucking broke my knee in 6th grade?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were playing like touch football, and Salazar like got me from behind, and I tore out some shit in my knee. And I remember being like, all upset because I had to wear a cast and whatever. And I told my dad one time, we were driving to like some doctor's appointment. I was like, "Fucking Nick, dude, he's such a dickhead." And my dad was like, "You have no idea what that young man has endured." I didn't know. We didn't know.
You were, in my defense, I remember that day very clearly. I cried because I hurt you. I didn't think I was going to hurt you that bad.
No, we were
mad
homies.
at you. You were bouncing a football in the air, saying "get it," and you had your other hand on my forehead because I was like 5 foot tall. Yeah. And you were 6'3" in like the 6th grade.
No, my move when we would play touch football, my move would be I would throw the ball in the air when people went to touch me, and I would keep running.
We were
and catch
arguing
it.
about how you did that.
Because I don't have the ball. How can I be touched?
You're a cheater and a bully.
Yeah, he would throw it.
And Nick was a dickhead for taking you out. Everybody cheered, I'm sure. Nick. The king is
free
dead.
Nick candles held up the next day.
The king is dead. Finally, we can be free.
That wasn't even the worst touch football scam that people would run. Zach Toll would run the fake kick.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
Yeah, where it would be a kickoff, and he would run up and onside to himself. It's like, "I went 10 yards. I remember that pissing me off.
Oh, yeah, I remember a little bit of that squabbling. Mm-hmm. I think we ended up having some shit put in place, rules so that you couldn't do dumb shit. Because the alternative was like, if you say you're going to punt, you'd have to have some people up for trickery. And it's like, this is bullshit. There's like 5 of us, so we can't. It's not as fun. So just fucking actually punt it.
Well, it's like, what else are we going to do too during this time period? Go play soccer? I remember
we're straight.
And white.
Well, just you. You don't know this. Sam's actually Hispanic.
Shut up.
Oh, he loves to tell everybody.
Don't let them know. Yeah, I'm a quarter Mexican.
You actually used to send me in when the soccer guys were playing and say, "Nick, go kick their ball over the fence so we can get the field." And nobody wanted to do it. And I said, "All right, I'll fucking do it."
Well, you were fast. You could get away. I couldn't get away from the soccer boys.
Yeah.
Do you remember when I got in trouble in high school? I don't know if you're still in school, but I did morning announcements and I got in trouble for like saying, it was pretty much, oh, there's a boys' soccer game tonight. Who cares? I was like, I think I said it was for girl. I don't know, but Mr. Blackham sat me down and he's like, you can no longer be trusted to do morning announcements, and I was so pissed. Yeah.
I was gone by that time. Yeah. I was gone by that time. I was in my own little home because I ran away at like 15, and then I lived with my friend. I was more my friend than yours, and his family fell apart during that time.
Who was it, Brad?
Brock, yeah. Yeah, and he got caught cheating on his wife. They broke the neighbor's back. Him and his oldest son, they just beat the shit out of him and all this crazy shit. So I was like, I got to get out of here. And I found a bunch of bull riders who were like, there's a room open at this old lady's house. And she was the director of the biological resources department at the Jewish Medical Center at the time. And
were you guys
she was 52. Her? She wanted me to bang her. And I was like eye candy to her. She used to tell nobody can pass this red tape except Nick.
Yeah.
You know, it was like in this house, like she would let me have parties, have friends over. But she was real weird and protective of me, and she would tell me about the dreams she had of me. She would kiss the back of my neck and stuff.
Yeah.
And so,
damn.
Yeah, I thought you were banging her for sure.
No, I mean, I might have let her on because I needed a place to live, and I was like 16, and I was like, this sleazy old bitch. But
well, you know what the key to banging an old woman is? It's being properly groomed downstairs. And if there's one great
me or her,
just in general, groom her up, get rid of that tumbleweed.
She was grooming you. You could have been grooming yourself with Manscaped. Let's check in on those resolutions you made back in January. You may not have lost those 10 pounds yet, and you never will. But you can at least keep your balls trimmed, you son of a bitch.
Keep back off.